Africa. I alluded to the fact that the Western Cape economy is expected to grow by around 3.2% in 2011. You are looking at around 4% going forward. We know that the Western Cape has a very strong position as one of the best run provincial governments in South Africa. Tell us about your plans, your strategies into 2011 on the backdrop of a very challenging environment from the developed nations.
Well, I think first of all, from our strategy point of view, we're busy devising what we call Future Cape, which is our overall strategic long-term vision, and hopefully this year we will finalise that. And then obviously we need to make sure that everybody in the province buys into that vision, knows where we want to go, and knows where we will be on track to for the next 20 and 30 years. And that's going to be quite a challenge in itself, but we're busy devising that. Then, and listening to your previous speaker, red tape is a really major issue that we're going to be focusing on this year. I think government red tape is something that's slowing down economies, and it's something that we are picking up on our radar screen as a big issue. So we've decided to use that as one of the key issues to deal with this year. We will also be focusing on skills development. I spoke first of all about the strategy and where we want to go to. Are we producing the correct skills? Is our education system coming through for us? And we've just had the numbers come through for our school systems, and we need to make sure that we're on track there, that we're training people to fill those posts. And I think we're putting all those two together. Obviously, we've got a range of projects that we're busy on, but then we're going to be focusing on how we grow our exports. Obviously, talking about the strong rand, that's a factor that's inhibiting us at the moment. But we need to really grow our export market, so we bring in extra foreign exchange. We need to make sure that we help our small businesses grow. So we've got a range of strategies that we're busy working on, and we're fairly optimistic. We can see it's not going to be a quick win. It's going to be a slow coming out of the hole. But we've had a fairly good season coming through now with the holiday season in the tourism field. So I think we're very optimistic that we're going to start to see some traction.
Well, let's touch on the export market. You alluded to that a little earlier. We have seen quite a few government officials from the Western Cape visiting the Middle East to expand even further in terms of partnerships going forward. A very big focus on the likes of the UAE. Tell us about your strategies and the fact that we're starting to see things changing quite dramatically from perhaps looking at the Middle Eastern countries as opposed to the European countries and, of course, the US.
Well, if you look at our export market, traditionally we've always exported into the UK, Europe, and the Americas, and or North America, I should say. And looking at their projected growth over the next short and medium term, we're looking at no growth in Europe, or very, very little. And those are being our core markets. We've got to diversify. So we've been looking at new markets, and obviously that's China, that's India, that's Brazil. And of course the Middle East. Now it's, we chose the Middle East first. We had a senior delegation going through with a number of businesses and trying to access and treble that market at the moment into the Middle East. From our province, we export predominantly agricultural products, but we do have a varied range of products, and we're exporting at the moment about 1.5 billion rand a year, and we want to see that treble to the region. But also we believe that region is a gateway. We know that getting product through our province into that region and then going into the Sri Lankas, going into the Lebanons, going into India itself, it's a far easier access. So that was primarily why we went to that region first. At the same time, we've also got delegations going and trying to grow our markets into, as I said, India, China, and Brazil and Argentina, because we need to be moving into the growth areas. And then more importantly is how we're positioning ourselves as the Western Cape, looking at the west coast of Africa. If you look at GDP growth rates in Africa, they are actually surpassing those of India at the moment, and I'm looking at Africa as a whole. And the west coast of Africa, Angola starting with 15% GDP growth at the moment, and sort of averaging between 7 up to say 12% of the countries moving up as far as Ghana. And what role do we play? How are we affecting and exporting our skills, our talents, and our products into those markets and trading with those markets? At the moment, we're offering 5 of our universities are really offering a lot of subject matter, and we see many students coming into our universities from those regions in Africa. How are we utilizing that as our future prospect? These students who are doing their graduate studies and then going back to their countries, how are we utilizing those bonds that we're building now and growing that market?
Minister, let's touch on the currency debate. You alluded to the strong rand impacting your export markets, and you're talking about getting into new markets as well. How can you remain competitive with such a strong currency? And what are your thoughts on currency intervention? We had Nobel winner Joseph Stiglitz in studio in yesterday's session saying that emerging markets should be intervening in their currency. We shouldn't be leaving it only to market forces. Do you agree with this statement?
Well, thus far, and I have always agreed with that statement that if we intervene now, we will pay the price later. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we start converting the advantages that are causing our currency to be so strong. I mean, we've got lots of inflow of capital. We need to start looking at trying to convince that capital to be invested into hard infrastructure, into really investing in our companies and in investing in this platform. And as soon as that happens, we'll start to see a stabilization. But it is something that's affecting us terribly at the moment. We do, as I said earlier, we export our main products being agricultural products around the world, and we're noticing that strong rand is definitely affecting that market.
Minister,
but at the moment, I'm saying let's not interfere in it, but let's try and use that advantage to gain other kinds of investment into our economy.
Minister, we're running out of time. Just a very short one, if you could, please. Looking at the tourism industry in the Western Cape, contributing around 10% to GDP in the region. You've also got a housing backlog of around 500,000 units. So there's a lot of things that need to be focused on. Unemployment sitting at just over 21%. Just very quickly, what is your focus going to be for 2011?
Well, I think it's our first strategic objective. Strategic objective 1 is growth, because without growth we cannot fix any of those issues that you've just alluded to. So it is all about growth. So whatever we need to do it to create that growth, to allow business to grow, to allow the economy to grow. So through that we will create those jobs. We will start to fill those gaps. We will then be able to make a difference to the communities in our province, and so our main focus is whatever we do will be growth.